Hi, friends. If you're seeing this, then you probably know me and may or may not know what I'm about to tell you. Um, no, I'm not pregnant. Not yet. uh, that would be a good one, though. I've actually wanted to do this for a while, but I really couldn't decide when was the right time or what was the right platform uh, in order to do it. But was recently inspired by another video blog person um, who is sharing her story online. And I decided that might be the best way to reach the biggest number of people and eliminate some of the, not shame, but like embarrassment that comes with maybe researching or seeking out someone else who's going through something like what you're going through. Um, there's a lot of shame in mental health situations nowadays, and I guess it's been that way for a really long time because um, even when I started my journey, I guess, certain members of my family were not okay with uh, my situation. I don't want to say too much until I get into why I'm making the video. But I feel like I'm supposed to share my story with other people, lots of people, and I don't always know how to do that. I don't uh, I don't go out to a lot of places. I don't meet a lot of new people. I mainly interact with my students, some of my close friends, coworkers, and family. But um, even there are some of those people that I interact with on a daily basis that don't exactly know what I deal with every day, and that's been on purpose. I didn't want there to be any backlash for my job, for my condition, because I've successfully been able to keep my job. Have I always been very good at it? Probably not. Everybody has bad days, but I've had some really bad days, and my doctor tells me she's very proud of me for being able to hold a job while I feel the way that I do. Um, it's hard to just come out with it, but I've had a secret for oh almost 10 years now. Um, we'll say about 8 years, maybe. That only my best friend and close family members know about. Um, obviously, uh, obviously, I had to tell Kevin about it before we got married, so that he wouldn't be like surprised. But I didn't hide it from him. Um, I didn't hide how I felt from him because I wanted him to know kind of what he was getting into. You know, I'm not the easiest person to live with, and I know that. But for about, I guess it has been 8 years. I think it was 2010, um, probably somewhere around this time. I started having some trouble. Uh, I felt very hopeless. Um, I really didn't want to live anymore. And on the advice of a close friend at that time, I decided to see a doctor. Um, After seeing that doctor, I started to come to terms with the fact that my ex-husband was abusive. That that was what it was called, what I went through. Um, and that some of the things that I was dealing with, some of the things I was going through after that was because partially because of that. I have, since I could remember, dealt with anxiety, um, even before I knew what it was called, before I knew that there was a such thing or that anything could even be done about it. I remember being 5 or 6 years old, sitting in the car at the gas station and crying, and my mother asking me what was wrong, and I had no idea. I just knew, like, I had a bad feeling, but I didn't know what was wrong. I just knew I felt really bad. And that's my earliest memory of my anxiety. Um, my earliest memory of having depression was sometime in middle school. The anxiety was coupled with that. And then I had some traumatic events in high school, my sophomore year. Um, and I had like a nervous breakdown. I didn't go to the doctor, even though I begged to be taken to the doctor. I think my parents believed that if I was removed from the situation that they believed was causing my issues, that I would feel better. But really, what happened was that this situation just brought out all these things that I'd always dealt with, but they were just on a much larger scale. Um, yeah. So I've been dealing with depression and anxiety for almost as long as I can remember, but I didn't get any help for it until 2010, and I was put on medication, uh, mainly for depression, because I had attempted suicide and um, was also having some other health issues at the time. Uh, Blood pressure, sleep apnea, mini strokes, like just crazy stuff happening to a 25-year-old. And that's probably where I would consider my journey starting with all of this. I do still currently take some medication for anxiety and depression. It's not, it's been a journey in itself just with the medication, because I don't still take the same medication, and even on the same medication, I take a much lower dose now than I started out. So I have made some progress with therapy and just well, like, Kevin has been a big help because he's always there and assures me when I'm feeling bad that everything's okay, everything's gonna be okay, that he loves me and he's not leaving and that's not changing. And um, he doesn't necessarily understand the issues that I have or why I think the way that I do, but he's very supportive. And I can't tell you the number of times that Brenda Ferris has saved my life, literally kept me from taking pills or driving off a bridge or drowning myself in the bathtub. Um, all of which are things that I've considered. Um, I have not attempted suicide since 2010 or 2011, but I have contemplated suicide and been what's considered suicidal many times since then. Um, I guess not last school year, but the one before was super hard for me. Um, my depression was very high. My anxiety was probably higher than it's ever been. And it was hard for me simply to stay at work and be there and do my job just on a daily basis. If I got sick, it was multiplied, by like 1,000, how I felt anyway. And so it's been very difficult for me to keep my job a lot of times just because I didn't want to be anywhere. I didn't feel like existing. I felt like I needed out of my body. It's really hard to describe to somebody who's never felt that level of depression and anxiety, but I guess the main point of this video is just to tell everyone what I've been dealing with, just kind of come out with my diagnosis, and to say that I'm going to continue doing some video blogs about good days, bad days, in between days, this stuff that goes through my head, probably stuff you probably won't care about very much, but I really just want to say that if you're one of my friends or a friend of a friend or anybody who's watching this, if you're battling with depression or anxiety or any other type of mental health issue, that I'm here. I understand how hard it can be when your brain is trying to trick you into believing things that are irrational, things that even that you know are not true, but you can't help but consider them. If you're struggling with anything, then I want to be here for you. I want to tell you that every day is different. I never know what kind of day I'm going to have. And sometimes, even throughout the day, I don't like committing to things because I never really know how I'm going to feel mentally and emotionally. So, I'm on your side. I understand. I'll pray with you. I'll pray for you. And I hope that you'll do the same with me as I continue my battle with these things and try to keep up with life. So, things were good today. And I'll try to get back with you guys tomorrow, I guess. Thanks for listening.